this has been the most volatile day in crypto which I have seen, where after Luna, you're observing things like FTT, which looked strong before, is dropping like 80% for the day. We've talked about this saying, okay, there is a pattern like this, but right now watching it go below the measured move shows the panic in the market. And it all started with just two guys talking to each other. And we know how that materialized. Right now, earlier when this tweet came out, I really thought like, okay, the market is kind of showing you good sentiments here, because you look at dollar and dollar is dropping, market is slowly grinding back up, which looked really good. Looking at gold, silver, they are really going back up. And at a time when crypto should be moving higher, you kind of get tweet after tweet informing how bad the situation is with a lot of different exchanges. And FTX is the second biggest exchange, and them having this kind of trouble, having to close down the withdrawals was like so bad. And this guy puts it in a different perspective, which I was like, okay, that's really interesting, right? The game of chess. So the checkmate was completely drawn, and that's why you see here they received a call asking for help, and they are extending the hand to help, but he also highlights that it's going to be volatile days ahead, and that's going to be really bad. Right now, if you're in the market, this is the day. This day is so much volatile that if you were not prepared for it, and if you're new in the market, that would just stop your heart in one moment, right? But if you are here from some time, now you're like, okay, what's really happening? Which of these assets are actually breaking through the long-term supports? That's the biggest question you should ask. See, when we observe a lot of coin doing this 20% to the downside on a day, the first question you should be looking at is like different assets. Okay, is this actually going to go lower? Does the pattern supports that? Here it does look like that. But does that apply for all the other assets? No, that's what we are going to look today. The entire market, where we are headed, what we are looking at, then towards XRP. On a weekly, yeah, you are right now at the 20-day moving average, but RSI still shows you a little bit more room to the downside with today's volatility. Yes, on a short-term basis, when you zoom in, on the daily, you see, okay, we are reaching a support range in the RSI and the price, which is kind of a buy zone or the deep area of the first level of support, where a lot of people are buying right now. And we look back at different assets inside the market, and we see Ether was breaking through the upside. Right now, it just broke back in. So the market is volatile. It really needs your attention if you are inside this market. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal, common retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of the world. Yesterday, when we talked about this as a critical market update, that was like, okay, SEC getting a win on one asset. But today, right now, as we observe the market, it's not only that, after which we see this one of the biggest exchange going insolvent. And CZ highlighting that with a quote of, we saw Luna earlier, right? That tweet kind of went into a lot of people, and they were thinking, okay, is that similar situation coming in? But right now, looking at the market, looking at the price, we can argue that it is materializing. Remember, the top of this asset was like $87, and right now it went and touched the bottom of $4, close to that. So when you're in the market, this is the general altcoin market. It's not hitting a new low here. That is why I always repeat, look at the asset you have and look for where its support is. If that broke below that, now it's going to join the party with all the others, drop to a new lows. If you're making a higher high trend, now you're going to retest the previous support, because you have multiple supports which you broke when it was a resistance. So now, if you look at the altcoin market, we hit the 200-day moving average, we slowed down, we are correcting from here. And now when you come back down, it's the 20-day moving average crossing the 50-day moving average. Last time when we did this, look at this. What was the volatility like? So right now, if you're in the market, I would say like, okay, this is not over. If this is what happened last time when you crossed to the upside, volatility all the way, you were going up in a trend, but you still got all these volatility. If that is the case, you may still get some of that here. Great. Now you go into the market and you are looking at it saying like, okay, this was the support range. This is the trend line. So if the price holds at this level and bounce, thank God that's going to be the great case. But look at the RSI. It's at the level of the support. There's a trend line support which is valid all the way from May. We've been trending upside. If this gets invalidated, that's a pain for next couple of months. But if this holds and we bounce, the price is making a new trend. This was your previous low, and if this is your new low, it's a little bit of higher low. So you can still bounce from there. That's like the positive side. But when you look at BTC and say, okay, right now Bitcoin is breaking through the support level here, that does not really look good. If you are zooming out, this is what we are talking about, a rounded bottom pattern which was gaining strength. But with this drama, we broke to the downside. We had this trend line, which we broke higher. We wanted to retest that, kind of retest. But right now, we are breaking through to the downside. But what's more important here is that it's not only that. It's your previous low here. That shouldn't be taken out. So 17,700 should be the low. Otherwise, that's going to kick a lot of people out, because when you take a leverage position, mostly what people do is look at the previous low, keep a little bit lower than that will be their stop loss. And if the price is dropping just below that, then the stop loss hunt begins. And that's going to be painful to watch, because a lot of people are leveraged in this market. We saw like 990 million leverage trades were kicked out with the margin calls for FTX. And that should really be painful when you're in the market like this and going that much leveraged for an asset like this, right? Because that has been there. We've been talking about these kind of stuff from some time. And as you look at this, yes, there was some kind of gameplay inside this way. It was all the calculated, well-educated guess from the top-end guy who knew like, okay, they don't have the reserves. And that's one of the things which you should be scared about. If Binance have everything, that's great. But I don't think a lot of other exchanges have that. Yes, the banks which we see right now today, it's fractional reserve banking. If you put $1,000 there, they can still lend out 2,000. They do that kind of stuff. You put $1 there, they'll put 1.5 or 2. They can lend more than that. That's fractional reserve system. But for crypto, which is so early in its days, it's not the time to go that way. So Binance is talking about proof of reserves. So you need to actually show how much you have. Or else, when people want to take their money out, you may have to go stop their withdrawals, which as a business will be bad, and the panic will kick in. Remember, this is a time when the dollar is dropping, silver, gold, stocks are slowly going up. Crypto should have been going to the upside, and then we get these two titans going against each other, and one then agreeing, okay, I kneel. Great. So if you are here in the market and you are looking at these kind of stuff, keep in mind, don't go this way. People think that, okay, this can be the bottom, let me go leveraged. What happens? The exchange already know you are going leverage, your stop loss is here. They may go against you. This is a place where regulations are not complete. They can do that. Even if it's a 1% probability that they will kick you out before they move the price up, you shouldn't be willing to take that. Now for Ether, yes, this is the first level of support, and that kind of get extended towards this range of 1250. Fine. But if you extend that, it goes all the way up to this range of previous resistance of 1250, which will be a good range to see a bounce from. But at the same time, we also observe that the RSI is closing to the support, but the MACD has crossed to the downside. So unless the MACD go back up, reverse this previous break here, that's going to be really bad. And we have had times when it shows you bearish signal and then go back up. But here it was towards a resistance. So right now, even if we bounce, we'll have multiple resistance to pass through. Say you zoom in, you will actually understand what we are talking about. Say you bounce from here. Now you have the 50-day moving average, which will be a resistance. Then the 21-day moving average, which will be a resistance. Then you have the 200-day moving average, which is going to be a resistance. Things were different yesterday. We were here. We were above the 20-day moving average. We were above the 50-day moving average. So things were really looking interesting at that time. Now, to ask that question, like, okay, last time when we crossed to the upside, how was the days like? What was the volatility like? We look at this like, okay, that was a 17% down after you got a bullish cross. Great. So if we take that measurement here, asking, okay, this is the recent top, and right now we are here, that's a 22% drop. So you do see volatility, but this one has been bigger than the last one day. So understand the level of drama happening in the market and the amount of money being pumped here and there, kicking a lot of coins. It's so hard to watch. If you are in the market watching like this big coin dropping 80% a day, is so bad. Think about different exchanges and asset managers who had exposure to this asset or other assets where this exchange is heavy on. Because when they go bankrupt, now they don't have to pay the others. Say if they had Solana, if they had Ether, now they don't have, they'll have to sell it in the market. This is what materialized with Luna. We saw how that terror unveiled, right? So if here for XRP, what we really want to see is a daily close above 0.4. That would be a great thing to see. The explanation for that would be like, okay, the price actually came lower. People sold in panic, but a lot of people thought this is going to be a good opportunity and they bought in. Maybe $100, maybe $1,000, maybe $1 million, but they did enter here and a lot of people did follow. So that's like amount being sold is being absorbed and you're getting a slow bounce. But the key will be the 200-day moving average. XRP was one of that asset which was holding on above 20-day, 50-day and 200-day moving average, and the 20-day crossed the 200-day moving average. Remember, if you go this on a plain view just as a normal common human being, you will say, okay, last time when the 20-day moving average crossed the 50-day moving average in XRP, the price dropped. And how much was that? It was a 15% drop. Great. The next time when XRP crossed the 50-day moving average, just before that, you had volatility like this, which was a 13% to the downside. But right now with this drama, you just saw a 23% day to the downside. Now, that was not the perfect one. Take it from here. 17% down on this day and 23 from the local top. Now, yes, we can actually put that narrative saying like, okay, that means when the 20-day moving average is crossing to the downside, you're almost near a new bottom, the local bottom, before you go back up if you're trending higher. So here the 20 is crossing the 50 to the downside. We are close to a bottom, hopefully. That means you are going to follow the trend. But what's bad in this? If you can look at this as a trend line, this is like, okay, that's going to be the worst case scenario. If you are going to take more time here, it's just time. But the price remains the same. If not, if this is going to continue in this panic to the downside, you may come down to 0.35 and bounce. Fine. But right now, this support is staying intact as far as I'm concerned. I'm looking at 0.4 range where the price is kind of like, okay, I'm slowing down. People are buying in, and the big range or the bottom of this support range comes all the way here. This was a support. This turned in as a resistance. So that's the bottom. So the way we usually do it in TA is like this. You take the wick at the top and then at the bottom where you match previous support and resistance. That gives you a zone with the standard deviation to the downside and upside. In between lies the actual key range, 0.39. But In crypto, 90% of the time, you don't respect the actual trend line. You check for the standard deviations, whether it's upside or to the downside, because the variance here is so high, right? Now, when we look at this, yes, on the altcoin market side, on a short-term scenario, we are observing heavy volatility coming down. And look at just this one 4-hour candle. It just went all the way back up, hitting a lot of sellers who entered there, kicking them out, and then coming back down. So even if you were a seller, you got hurt because the market went up like that. And here, that's on a 4-hour time basis, you're dropping like this on the entire altcoin market. So being here, don't take much risk right now. If you're going in, go in without leverage and go in with the project which has strong liquidity and fundamentals. If not, even if you buy and the coin goes 5x, there won't be a volume to take that profits outside. Because the way I'm looking at this, yes, the price is down, but compared to the volume of yesterday, it was around 700, 800 million. Right now, it's 2.5 billion. So I'm like, okay, that is not really a lot of retailers. Most likely, it's going to be huge guys entering the market. Look at Bitcoin. It's 80 billion in volume, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot in volume. Look at Tether. It's 110 billion. So right now, we are observing a lot of volume coming in. The question is, are they selling or are they buying? As of now, buyers outweigh sellers at this moment. Now that changes. That changes every now and then. But the increase for XRP is what we are talking about, from 700 million towards 2.6 billion. That's someone buying when the price is down close to a major support level. If we want to go against it, that's a different attitude. But right now in the market, we see a lot of assets dropping towards support. But some of them, just to highlight, some of them does show like, okay, I have something different. I'm breaking through the short-term support. And if that happens, I'm going towards the medium-term support, which would be here all the way down. So you need to look at different assets in your portfolio and see whether that's breaking through this range. If it is, that's not a great signal. You may go down before you actually try going up again the next time. So guys, if you are here looking through this volatility and screaming what's happening and you receive value, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.